Hi, it's Faye, and I have never been so excited yet kind of nervous to do a video, mainly because I want to do this video justice because I absolutely love Tinkerbell and Pixie Hollow and the Disney fairies in general. As you can tell by my chosen name, Faye, I love fairies, and my favorite interpretation of fairies when I was little was Tinkerbell and her friends in Pixie Hollow. Honorable mention to the Pixie Hollow online video game that I was absolutely obsessed with. I had a membership and everything when I was little, itty bitty little me. One of the only games I have played religiously and obsessively. The other one was Lego Star Wars, the other one was Lego Lord of the Rings. And yes, there is a theme here. I love fantasy. Tinkerbell in particular is a very special fairy to me. As you can tell, I have a little porcelain Tinkerbell back there, portrait of Tinkerbell up there, and I am utterly inspired by fairies, especially during spring, which it is finally spring now. It's my favorite season, and I want to help you guys live like the Disney fairies this spring as I am. So this is for you and me to get a little inspo for you. I want to make this a series too, how to live like the Disney fairies. And the first one I figured should be the queen herself, the fairy, the myth, the legend, Tinkerbell. So let's start out with fashion. The first thing is obviously literally any shade of green, especially a leafy shade of green is so Tinkerbell, but also white and bright white, feathery white. Remember Tinkerbell in the very first scene of her appearance in her first movie? She was wearing a white, feathery, almost like a dandelion-like dress. Basically a white version of her little mini green dress that she wears. White and green and also purple. Whenever there's little accents to a Tinkerbell doll or her jewelry or things like that for kids, she's usually wearing purple along with it. Like this little porcelain Tinkerbell I have up here, she has a little purple skirt under. So a light purple or lavender is a great way to complement green and white for a Tinkerbell inspired outfit. So of course the classic shark tooth hem or fairy hem, as I like to call it. Not only Tink's iconic hemline of her beautiful dress, but it also is just like the classic fairy hemline now, and it's probably because of Tinkerbell. Another obvious one is strapless tops or dresses. Tinkerbell wears a very small green strapless dress, so of course strapless anything goes perfect for a Tinkerbell inspired outfit. Also a fluffy texture. Her shoes have little pom-poms on them and they're white and fluffy, kind of like her first dress, and so feathery or fluffy white texture is perfect for a Tinkerbell kind of outfit. You can also wear a classic flat inspired by Tinkerbell, or if you're going on an adventure, some boots are always a great option, especially brown boots. DIY fashion. When in doubt, cut your clothes with a pair of scissors. Obviously safely, especially if you're a child. Tinkerbell, in one of my favorite scenes of her, she just trims up her like big dress into her iconic dress that we all know and love today. I recommend if you want to be a little more Tink, you can always chop up your clothes. If you're a kid, please get your permission from your parents first, because I do not want to get in trouble for you doing silly little things. It's just some fashion inspiration, okay? But DIY fashion in general is so Tinkerbell. I mean, she's literally a Tinker fairy. Another thing that reminds me of Tinkerbell is those hippie dresses with the embroidery on it. It reminds me of that leafy texture of her dress. So I think a green version of one of these dresses. So Tinkerbell. And some Tinkerbell inspired music and media for you. I think Tinkerbell reminds me of A Little Trouble Girl by Sonic Youth. That Tinkerbell's a little trouble girl, and even though she's trying to be her best all the time, she causes trouble. Hence the name. But also, she kind of has mommy issues with Queen Clary. So that kind of reminds me of Tinkerbell too. Those kind of references and the lyrics of the song. The musician, I think, is absolutely underrated and should have more attention, especially in the fairycore community. Is Lila Ravel or Lily Ravel? I think it's Lila Ravel. Their music is some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard. It literally sounds like you're like dipping your toe into a pool and entering a fairy realm. Vashti Banyan, I think her name is. She had very like folksy kind of music. And Connie Converse, I think her name was, also super underrated folk artist who kind of disappeared off the earth. We don't know what happened to her, but I think she has such Tinkerbell vibes. Like if Tinkerbell were to make music, it'd be her plus Lila Ravel. Also, obviously, she would love documentaries, especially bug and nature documentaries. Because also, Tinkerbell is a tinker. She loves to learn. Any how-to book or how to fix anything on YouTube, Tinkerbell would have on her watch later. Next is scents and fragrances. Technically, Tink already has her own fragrance with Disney, but there are some things that I would change about it, and it's also kind of hard to find. They don't sell it anymore. I think it's only on eBay from what I've been able to find. So one of the notes of that perfume is powder, like a baby powder, and duh, that's such a Tinkerbell scent to me, like Pixie Dust, but also in the first movie, she's a baby. She is a baby, and she's born from a baby's laugh. And she's wearing a powder white dress, so baby powder scent immediately. Musk, especially since it's an earthy kind of smell, that is a note in that perfume as well. It just reminds me of like a hard worker metallic kind of vibe, which reminds me of Tinkerbell. And then there's also a note of jasmine in this perfume, which I completely agree with because it's earthy yet sweet and smells fresh, floral, like Tinkerbell is. She's fresh and floral. Marigold, because I think that is what pixie dust would smell like, is marigold flowers. And then one of the scents was lemon, but I would actually change that to lemongrass because she's sour, obviously. She has a bit of a temper, but let's be honest here. And it's green, duh. Again, it's fresh and has a very powerful yet refreshing smell. And Tinkerbell is all about having new ideas to bring to Pixie Hollow. I think lemongrass and fresh baby-like smells are so Tinkerbell, but also those floral touches and those earthy touches, then she's a fairy. And a plus if it has glitter or a glow to it. Makeup and hair, there's her iconic bun you could do. Can't really see it right now, but I have a little half up, half down kind of bun, which is always an option instead of a full bun, especially if you're having a good hair day. And you can have some face framing pieces. And you can always put ribbons or flowers or like I have this little bow in my hair. And for makeup, Tinkerbell has darker eyebrows than she does her hair color. She has blonde hair and brown eyebrows. One of my Tinkerbell makeup tips, which actually did inspire Tinkerbell look today, you can find that on my shorts if you want to see how I did this look. But anyway, she has darker eyebrows than her hair color. And then Tinkerbell has such a button-like nose, so some contour to exaggerate that, even if you already have it, is perfect for a Tinkerbell makeup look. Also has a lot of blush and contour like on the lower half of her face and contour on her eyes to make them pop a little bit more. And she has these soft pink lips, but she also has like a really subtle tight line of black around her eyes. And then she has a little bit of lash. I have just a 3/4 lash with like with more subtle little hairs on the eyelash band. And it also kind of exaggerates the inner corner of her eye to go down a little bit more. Add glitter if you can. I did a green glitter that reminds me of her, but you could also do a gold glitter like the pixie dust. So I have a lot of activities to be a Tinkerbell-esque kind of little person. Tinkering, obviously. Duh. So fixing things, making things into other things, DIY projects, so especially your clothes, and also using things the wrong way. So especially with fashion, you can always wear a mini skirt as a top. Why the freak not? Especially because it'd be strapless, so that's perfect for Tinkerbell. Make things for your friends, have adventures with your friends, and hang out with your friends in general. And with your friends, you can always play party games. Like in the Pixie Hollow online game, there was a lot of party games like card games or races, a fun little board game even. Very Tinkerbell. And then obviously be outside as much as possible. Sit in the green grass and feel the earth give you kisses with the wind. Crafts in general are so Tinkerbell since she loves to create and tinker and play around with things and make them into new things. So I highly recommend having a little picnic and doing some crafts. And you can always take a solo adventure even without your friends too, but like I said, please be safe. Be safe on your solo adventures too. Also, appreciating and acknowledging your friends to their faces. Tinkerbell loves to give her friends props and she appreciates them so much for their talents. So, appreciate your friends for their talents. Tell them you're proud of them and what you love about them and what makes you proud of for them. Like saying fly with you later. Duh. That's the Pixie Hollow goodbye. Farewell. Be obnoxiously friendly to everybody, even bugs and animals and men. Sometimes. Acts like she's friends with Terrence. I don't think she really likes him, and I think she's a lesbian who is having a good luck babe kind of moment. Okay, so for decor, I recommend using the color scheme I told you for fashion. Green, obviously, and also brown and purple and maybe little dashes of white and gold. So some of my fairy decor I have are some literal fairy wings and Tinkerbell herself. A green leafy garland is always perfect for a fairycore room. And the Disney fairies themselves, the Disney fairy books or fairy books in general, and quotes that talk about like believe, trust in yourself, and I believe in fairies. And maps. I think maps are such a fairy thing to have. I mean, you gotta know like where you're flying to, you know. You don't have a little iPhone, so you gotta use a map. Dried flowers. These are some beautiful snapdragons I dried. Teacups for fairy core vibes. Especially floral ones like this one I have. I literally put flowers and also a metallic little hairpin in there. I feel like Tinkerbell is also very metallic, very steampunk kind of vibes. Then of course some crystals and general trinkets like these little guys. And Peter Pan references. I have this little dagger in a leather sheath that's just very Peter Pan to me because you have a little dagger in a little leather sheath. Enlarged items or miniature items that would literally be used for fairies themselves, like an enlarged button, like a flower teacup. Using your tools in general that help you with your crafts as decor is always a good idea too. So this has been how to live like Tinkerbell. I hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun making this video. The other videos in this series, I'm probably going to do Fawn or Vidya next because Fawn is my favorite. But maybe I'll save Fawn for later. I don't know. Tell me which fairy you want to see next in the comments. And tell me what your favorite Tinkerbell lifestyle suggestion was. Love you lots. Fly with you later. Bye.